kind of technology, not cooperate. So this is such an important conversation that we decided to revisit it on Friday, which is actually not a bad day to revisit it, because normally getting ready for it's not First Friday, but we'd be getting ready to go down and check out the art in Friday. It is, isn't it? My God, have you lost track of time the way I have?
Are you? Did you say it broke up just a little bit? Did you say First Friday?
Yeah, it's not First Friday, is it? No, it's Second Friday.
Yeah. We're good. We're good.
We're good. So normally, if it were First or Third Friday, we'd be getting ready to go down to Artlink to pay attention to art in the greater Phoenix area. And so I want to chat with Grant about what's going on in the arts world here in Arizona. And it's just such an important topic that we just made sure we did a do-over today. So Grant, tell everybody who you are and what you do, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I'm Grant Vetter, and I've run my own gallery here in Phoenix for about 5-6 years now, called Fine Art Complex 1101 here in Tempe. And I'm also the curatorial coordinator for Artlink Phoenix, which is a nonprofit that throws all sorts of events and promotes opportunities for artists throughout the year, all year round. So, and I teach in the curatorial program at ASU. Is my other thing. So that's about it for right now.
So people always say to me, Michelle, just focus on one thing. It drives me crazy because nobody I know does one thing. I don't know one person in my circle that does one thing, because you're an artist, you're a professor, you're a curator, you have your own gallery, and you are a major contributor with Artlink and making sure that we have really cool things happening in the Artlink gallery. So, and then you write.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also write a lot of art criticism. I'm working on my second book right now. So those kinds of things. Yeah, I think it's a condition of cultural creatives. I feel like all the creative people I know have multiple hats.
Well, I think there's two reasons for that. One, our brains just never flip and stop.
Yeah.
We're busy. Like, you have 7 degrees.
I have a lot of degrees. I have a lot of degrees.
So you're actually, I wish I could say Dr. Grant Vetter on here, because you actually are a PhD, and you did your PhD in philosophy and something thought. I can't read my own writing.
Yeah, it's just like art and political thought. That was my big focus. Still kind of what I curate a lot of projects around today too. So yeah, that's it's been a long educational journey.
Yeah, you can work on there. So plus, I think if you're a creative or you're working around the creative world, we don't have like regular JOBs where we just go into the office, they pay us a check. Some of us do, okay? Some artists do have JOBs, right?
Yeah.
But other people, you have to jerry-rig your life, okay? So I have time in the studio or time curating things, and I have my own business where I'm getting a little bit here, and then I go and I teach something, and then I have this other thing that I'm doing, and then I sell a couple books, and all together I kind of have several streams of income that kind of hopefully support me, right?
Yep, that's always the idea, it all comes together and it sort of works out. It's the same for all teachers like myself, and I mean, your classes have to fill, your exhibitions have to go well, your writing has to get published. It's like it's all those happy ones,
right?
Yeah, definitely.
Now, we talked about this, briefly. If folks were able to catch part of the live interview last time when we had, I don't know, Be Live and Facebook. I found out something very interesting from Be Live, and I said, okay, what happened? They said Mondays and Tuesdays are the absolute busiest times for live video.
Oh, I didn't know that, but okay.
And I just kind of intrinsically knew that Tuesday would be a good time for a live video. So my radio show is normally at Tuesday at 2:30. So they said Friday at this time there's less live going on.
I would assume that a lot of people are doing things earlier in the week because people aren't as distracted by the end of the week, and maybe they're filming stuff too to like edit for the end of the week. So,
and usually people getting ready right now to go to happy hour. Guess what? You're trapped in your house, so you're watching social media. So it's not a bad thing for us to be on today, right?
Nah.
So we talked about why you did in the first, what you do in the first interview. So I kind of have a little bit of an insider knowledge of why you do what you do. But one of the things you said pre-interview was, art was like, that was just what you did. There's never any plan B. It was just what you do, so you do what you do because it's what you do. There's no other question, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was an artist from the time I was a young kid. And I was always really thankful to be an artist. I know a lot of people have like kind of like suffered to be an artist in a way. I was really thankful that I found something in school that I was happy to go do.
Right.
And I mean, it's true.
Right.
And I've enjoyed every part of art since. Even now, I mostly curate. Where like 10 years ago I was a painter, and 10 years before that I drew comics and had a comic book company. So it's just like it's been an evolution. But there's no time I was ever like, oh, there's some other calling. Like there's no fallback calling, if you will.
You know, it's interesting that you say that because sometimes people get annoyed at me that I link business and art together, but I actually think that business is an art form and that art is business. So to me, it's just like you're getting a bunch of information and you're reorganizing it and remanipulating it to make the end product. And that to me is what art is. You have something, an idea or something outside of you that you're translating or whatever, and then you recollect it, remanipulate it, and then you represent it trying to tell a story. And to me, that's what business is. I was just talking to the owner of cards a couple weeks ago, Cody Bateman,
Mhm.
and he had something happen in his personal life and he created send out cards.
Mhm.
To me, it's a creative process. And I also think that sometimes artists have a hard time seeing themselves as business people. We talked a little bit about that pre-interview. Do you think that's true?
Oh, I think that's really true because it's the I mean there is a part of the art part that's like that's funner in a way, like the being creative in the studio. It's like you're not no one's in your space, you know, you're doing your own thing. You don't have too many of the pressures of the world on you at that moment that you're making art. Hopefully you're just kind of in the zone, right? But
Right,
then there is a whole art to getting that work out in the world. And that definitely is its own art. You know, it's knowing something about business, something about marketing, something about advertising, something about networking, something about how to connect what you're doing with people. And that can really get neglected in art school. I taught professionalization courses at ASU for 3 years, so lots of times I was getting kids at the very end of their journey. And there could be a tendency to focus too much in the arts the whole time just on craft. And then 1 second before they get out the door, it's like there's one class that says, "Oh yeah, and do well at business too," you know.
right.
Whereas
This is
most of the other majors have like an internship much earlier on. You know, I had so many friends who went to Arizona State that were engineers, lawyers, doctors, and they had some kind of internship thing going on by like year two. And a lot of artists just get, like I said, kind of almost like dropped off out of the bus on the corner, like, and this business, good luck.
right. I know.
Yeah.
You know, what's amazing to me is that when I was in art school, and you and I agreed a little bit about this pre-interview, was that it's almost like my professors were telling me that business was bad.
Mhm.
I'm trying to be gentle about that because I mean, they were basically saying like, art was this lofty thing that we did, and that, the business thing was just not as lofty,
Yeah.
not as meaningful. And I think that what happened for me was I went, I had my own marketing company. I was in New York City being an artist. And then when I moved back to a small town, I realized, wow, this creative thing that I do that I get paid for, this commercial creativity that I get paid for is a business. And crap, I mean, really? It's
Yep.
like I went to art school to not be a business person. And then I realized, well, I'm the product.
Yeah.
Me
Yes.
and what I create as a product, either as a commercial designer or as a fine artist, I'm the product. What I produce is the product. It's just like GM or Ben and Jerry's ice cream or whatever. And so I went back to school and got my master's in business.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
I think.
years later was able to connect the two, but it took me 20 years.
Yeah, I mean that's a path that a lot of us have to go on. I noticed so much has changed now with the schools because I've gotten to go back and visit my alma mater, art center, which has so many courses on business now. It has full tracks on courses or
Awesome.
full courses with these tracks, and ASU does too now. ASU actually this last year opened up an art entrepreneurial track, more of a curatorial track, and then increasingly they're even making art entrepreneurship and like the business aspect of art even, or kind of a nonprofit aspect, even different.
Love it. And it makes my heart sing. But I won't name names, but I was at a conference, and there was someone from ASU who was no longer there, who said that, just moved on to different things. Wasn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
Had said that, if you wanted to be an artist, you probably shouldn't plan on being rich, basically. Or wealthy. And I thought, I don't know. If you sat down with a bunch of lawyers and attorneys when they're spending that kind of money to get educated, and you said to them, you know what? If you're going to be an attorney or a doctor, you're just going to be poverty stricken for the rest of your life. They wouldn't put up with it. And I think it's interesting that artists put up with that thinking, that whole idea, that Les Miserables, suffering artist thing. And I'm not saying that, some doctors make a choice to live in a hut and gives medical services to really needy people in Africa, and that's their choice. And I think that artists should have the same choice. I can be a starving artist if I want and suffer, or I can make a decent living as an artist, or I can actually be wealthy, like maybe Andy Warhol or whomever, right? So I just think that this conversation about, if you're an artist, you have to be poor is really kind of outdated. It needs to go away.
Yeah, I would, and so much has changed too. I mean, from the time of art people that would have taught us till now. I mean, student debt is so much higher. So if you even get a degree, you want to be successful just to be
pay your bills.
Yeah, just to have a go, because you don't want to take on a ton of debt through an undergrad and graduate studies and like me, maybe a PhD kind of thing, for art, right? And then be completely broke. Like, you don't want to be completely saturated with student loans. So I think hopefully those attitudes are changing, even more and more, just because that situation has changed so much. It would be kind of absurd to go into the debt that most students go into now and sort of be like, oh, well, I guess I'll just be broke and have a bunch of debt too.
Right, and suffer, right, and be miserable. But I tell people, look around you. Everything around you is art. The building that you're standing in, when you go shopping at the mall and you see, stand-ups. I used to work for Revlon in New York City. In the 90s, if you happen to see anything Revlon, most likely I designed it standing in a Walmart. That is art. Yeah. We have to go to school to learn how to do that. Or, now there's this huge mural surgence here in Phoenix, and I'm just loving seeing it. It's loving it. And, so what you do at Artlink is you're helping artists to actually get their work out there in front of people, where people can buy it, admire it, and learn from it. And thank you very much for doing that. I'm an art participant myself. Yeah. And I appreciate your service to Artlink and to the greater Phoenix area, because you really do amazing things. And I believe that Phoenix right now is in a very pivotal time for art. I mean, I think if you're an artist right now, I've made more art since I've been in Phoenix than I did in the 10 years I was in Manhattan. I mean, it's a really great time to be an artist, but thank you very much for getting it out there for people to see and purchase. So tell us what you're doing with Artlink, and more about what you're doing for Artlink, and then what you're doing kind of in the midst of and post COVID.
Okay. Well, first I'd say there's a wonderful team at Artlink too. So I want to just mention
of course there is. Yes,
my boss, Katrina and Leslie, as well. They're two of the hardest working people I know in the art world.
100%.
In any art world. And I was in LA for 15 years, and the amount of things they do in a 24-hour period is incredible, and people usually wouldn't know it if they weren't too familiar with nonprofits. But it's a very hardworking organization, and they try to coordinate everything that can bring greater awareness to the arts. A lot of that, a big chunk of it, is open calls for commissions of a kind, special projects, things people need made. But usually it's all paid work. It pays very well. So I always encourage everyone to become a participant and watch those open calls, because the pay is very good and it's very life sustaining. I'm talking about the business aspect of art. Artlink brings in a ton of money for artists every year out of those projects. But they also do these other huge things like the juried show, the Taft Award, the gala every year. Of course, our gala was kind of it wasn't canceled this year. We didn't have a gala. But the artists all worked collaboratively this year to make bigger works than it had been made in years past, and they wanted to finish that show. And we definitely didn't want to stop the large investment of time and money that had already gone into these works being exhibited. So we still managed to hold it open for about a month. And people came through, and it was in the warehouse, and the warehouse is huge. So people can stay 40 feet away from each other in the warehouse while viewing,
Right.
much more than 10. That was wonderful, and I think that's a really kind of heartfelt story about Phoenix creatives and Phoenix culture, is that this was still going on in the middle of all this, and more I see people working together at every level to get the word out, to put up auctions, to continue promotion in a different way. So that, that's the long and the short of what I do down at Artlink, is hoping to connect all of those different energies, as well as we are putting on our own exhibitions now at an Artlink gallery called the Mood Room, and we're also partnered with the Garment League because we want to bring in more fashion this coming year. So that's sort of a sum up there. Pre and post COVID. I think pre-COVID, like a lot of the creativity around town had kind of slowed down on Roosevelt Row, not in terms of people being less creative, but there being less places to show, because of sort of gentrification and some of the galleries moving, some of the galleries shrinking. So that was a big shift, because that's kind of been our cultural center of the town, at least downtown area. But I think so many other places have popped up on the radar, like Mesa Art Center, which is incredible. They just do fantastic programming every month, and their openings are huge. Their energy is incredible. The vision of their curators over there is outstanding. So that's kind of its own center now. Tempe has the Tempe Center for the Arts, and so much more stuff going on with ASU, with new directors being hired there. The ASU Museum got a new director a year or two ago. There's the ceramic center and everything else. Even I stepped away from my position there a couple years back, and there's a new new person in my shoes up there, being the gallery director for ASU galleries throughout the campus. So Tempe's a kind of center, and then downtown's become a lot more diffuse and diversified. So we really kind of are getting to that level where we sort of have an art town, and things like Phoenix Phoenix Urban Guide is something that helps to connect everyone to know where those things are at. Because you can go out, and if you're going out to a restaurant or going out shopping, or you're just driving across town and you want to see some art, you can log onto there, and it will connect you with whatever's closest to you wherever you are in the city in real time. And so that's a kind of change too in access. Probably the other thing that I'm really thrilled about that's been something I like to think I had a hand in this last couple of years, is there's been a lot of professionalization of the actual gallery system, particularly their websites, putting work online, having everything look more professional. And that's been a big change over the last 5 years when I got here. When I got here, a lot of the galleries in town were still just like running a blog, like an old blog site or something. And I would always go in and talk to whoever was running it and say, you have such an amazing lineup and so much creativity, but you've got to update that blog. You're killing me. Like we can't have this like a couple more years. It's too much. And over time, people did. Even a lot of my students went out and took those positions, and they used to have to listen to me harp it into people in class. Like, you've got to present this work well. It's not enough just to make it, and they did, and they did. So one of my former students runs Modified, and it's run by 2 people, but they've done an outstanding job updating everything, really showing off the work well, documenting it well, writing about it well, and it's just such a professional site to visit. 9 Gallery did something similar. I know that Mon Orchid is working on a revamp right now. So all those things kind of come together and make for at least a more professional looking market. And then, of course, after COVID, we're going to have to get everyone back out again to the market in some fashion, even though it may be more of a hybrid experience for a while. It may be more seeing some things online and really relying on more lateral communities to engage and encourage. I've always told artists, like, when you've sold enough pieces to one collector, like, that they've got 3 or 4, and you can kind of see the interest is petering out a bit. They don't need, you can tell they don't need 5 or 6 of what you have for their house. Pass it on to another artist, someone else they would like that same genre, that same style, or that even the same content. and then hopefully have other artists pass it on to you too. Don't just end the relationship when it's you feel it's over financially. Cultivate that relationship, but hand it off. Hand it off to the next person. You know that collector would like their stuff. You know, like if I mean, all artists can think in those terms, right? Like, oh, if I make this kind of thing, probably this collector I've worked with for a couple years, they would probably like so and so. Like I should probably introduce them at a dinner or a party or
Right, sure.
something like this. And I think that's gonna even have to now kind of migrate to online. Like if somebody's doing an email and make a great online sale, say after you have a relationship with a collector, kind of pass it on. Say, I've also got a friend's work that you might like to see. You know, here's a link to their site where they have their work uploaded, or here's a link to their gallery where it's for sale. But I think we're all going to have to encourage each other laterally a lot more, rather than relying on a lot of big events to spread the word. I think it's going to be a lot more small happenings that kind of migrate outward in all directions, right? Like connect with every kind of opportunity you can, but always play something forward in the process, because something will come back to you, right? Like that's that's kind of a good law of
That's
business.
business, right?
Yeah.
That's right. You know, I mean, I was just talking with a gentleman today that does a real estate collaboration where people can relocate someplace, and when they get there, they get all their services set up.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all those business owners are collaborating with each other and kind of sharing in that product together. I think the collaboration is a really great thing. It would be cool if there could be some kind of technology. I'm in brainstorm mode right now, where you have, if somebody, when you're on YouTube and if you go on YouTube, then it automatically suggests another YouTube that's in that genre.
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe there might be something that we could do at Artlink.
Yeah.
That when somebody views a particular artist's work online, they could view a similar artist, or maybe there's a way to group artists in a way that would be like-minded work, and then potentially introduce interior designers to that particular genre. I mean, I just think that there's so much that came up for me when you're talking. One is that, I do believe that business owners, it's like when the web first happened, everybody's like, okay, I'm just gonna buy a website and everybody's gonna come. And the whole .com thing was happening when I was an artist in New York City. And people were buying these huge loft spaces and just like mortgaging out their future for like 30 years, just really planning for the .com thing. And what happened was a .com bust. Yeah. And I think we learned that, okay, the web can't be everything. So I believe when you build a business, you have tools. You have the in-space tool. You have the where people come in and see the work. I hope that never goes away, and I don't think it ever will. I think that COVID actually might make people go out more later, because they realize what they were missing when they didn't go to First Friday or Third Friday, when they weren't in a room with artists. Because as much as online is wonderful, obviously we're doing BeLive right now using streaming video. I moved away from in-person interviews for lots of reasons, but I think that it's important for human beings to be together and engage and have conversations that happen in person. And as much as you can present work well online, it's not the same as seeing it. However, to your point, and I'm really grateful that you brought that up, if you are a gallery, you need to have an online presence, and never more so have we been reminded of that, since we can't get out and actually go see the work.
Right.
So the two together is super important.
Yeah, it's and our town is at that place that other towns are, where we need an app. We genuinely need someone to develop an app that does show where everything is open in real time, and how you can get in and out, particularly with the period of galleries just working through appointments. Like at my gallery, I mean, we're just doing by appointment only right now. But we do need something like that. And I believe something will be developed over the next year or so. It's been, I know a couple different organizations have been working on it in town, and I just know it's been really slow going. But I think that's a way that will loop things together. But what you were saying with a kind of some sort of something that if you buy something leads you to the next thing that you might like, would also be wonderful. That would also be a really great idea for how.
And the technology is already out there, because if you go buy something on Amazon,
you buy the suggestion comes right up.
You get all the tent shit on your site. You know what I mean? They maybe you need a sleeping bag, and maybe you need this, and maybe you need that. So I mean, I think the technology is already there.
No, we definitely need something like that in the arts right now, in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone out there, anyone listening,
Yeah,
contact
only
us
yes,
either of
Phoenix
us.
people.
We'll get it developed somehow.
Absolutely. I mean, we're right down in
Oh, I think my audio kicked off a
warehouse
little.
districts, right there. The Yes Phoenix and
Can you hear
Galvanize is right.
me?
Galvanize people, pay attention. This is definitely a
Uh-oh.
good opportunity. Can you hear me?
I don't have the audio.
Oh no! Did we lose the audio?
I have the
You're
picture. It's
shoot.
happening again. What is going
Oh,
on here?
oh, crazy. All right, so
Should I
we'll
log
do.
off? Can you hear me?
No, don't,
Don't log
Let's.
off.
We'll do this. Hang on. I'm gonna. We'll communicate via text. Isn't that weird? So this is technology at its
On the
best.
phone?
Yeah, so I'll ask you.
How will we do that? Okay, hold on. Okay, but you can hear me though?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Let's
Can
see.
the audience hear me? I hope so.
I'm asking him. Tell us why you lead with your heart.
I would say I don't think there's any other way to lead it. Whoops, to lead in the arts. Really, I mean I think you can only get into the arts like with your heart. It's like it's not necessarily a rational decision to choose an art career to begin with. But everything I've ever done, it was always about finding a way. You know, because there's days where you can find funding to do a project, and there's days where you can't, and you still have to make it happen. And I can't having a gallery open for 10 years even. It's a thing you just have to make happen. So that's always about being good to people, about honoring their creativity, honoring their projects, and bringing people together. So I think there's actually no way that you can't be in the arts long if you're not leading with your heart. People will just sense it, you know. They'll back away. So
It was like no.
that would be my quick answer to that one, I guess.
So the other question I'm asking you is, what's next for Artlink?
Artlink is we'll still have a ton of calls coming up. That hasn't slowed. So artists that are looking for opportunities and paid opportunities, please keep on the Artlink website and the Artlink Instagram feed, Facebook feed, and become an participant. So that's a really positive thing to report. It's like that aspect hasn't slowed at all. And Artlink will continue to do exhibitions as COVID recedes. We're in a little bit of a pause at the moment, but there will be more and more programming going on down there in the new gallery space. We can hold up to 4 exhibitions per month. So there's a lot of opportunity, and those are also things you can apply for on the Artlink website, Instagram, through Submittable. And so I would say those are the 2 things on the immediate horizon, since we just kind of finished up the big juried show and the gala. But there are plans to bring back some kind of art detour-ish event as soon as COVID recedes as well, because we listened to a lot of artists during that period, and for a lot of them that was really when a lot of studio sales got made, and a lot of artists took a real genuine financial hit on that weekend, because it was kind of at the height when all this broke out. You know, I mean, it really the news kind of really came out right around Art Detour weekend. And so listening to artists who said, yeah, you know, we understand what happened. I mean, Artlink didn't cancel it at all. We just said, you know, social distance, and we let each venue make its own decisions irrespective of what was going on. We thought everyone just make your own decisions. Everyone needs to go about it that way. But as soon as it's passed, you know, as soon as we've gotten kind of an all clear from the state and the government, there's a plan to bring some of that back, because we want that revenue to be regained by artists who felt during that period like they didn't get their annual studio sales, they didn't get their annual sort of bump from Detour. So that's in the works right now, as well as like I said, a whole host of exhibitions, a good plethora of new opportunities online for public works, murals, commissions, and I think that's probably about it for right now. Yeah.
And then I'm sending you over another message, which is, how about your gallery?
I don't know that I can hear you.
Let's see. Your hands are so funny. I don't know what's happened with our app here. Can you see? I did you.
Uh-oh.
Can you see?
Is there something I need to press on my end?
Let's see. How about your gallery? Can you see I'm texting you?
Oh, my gallery. Got it. Okay. It's coming through now. Now I've got a gap even in this. Everything is going to keep slowing. Yes, we're doing part 2 of an exhibition as soon as we also get the word that it's okay to kind of start having more of the public in. But right now we have up an exhibition of Craig Randich, Chloe Torrey, and Janet Diaz's work, and that's going to continue as part of a big body of work that we're showing around sort of critique of capitalism at this moment. They're all kind of dealing with different issues economically. The way both of them are available online. You can contact both of us. Fine Art Complex is just fineartcomplex@gmail.com, and Artlink, I think, is I'm probably gonna get this wrong. I think it's Artlink Phoenix.org or something like this. I don't know. Go on the website. It's there. I promise. But yeah, those are the easiest ways to get in touch, and stay in touch. You know, I think that's the big lesson right now. Is just everyone stay in touch, because there are opportunities out there and people that want to see great things happening. So you know, reach out, definitely. If you're an artist and you're listening to this, reach out about opportunities.
So I super grateful we got to this interview. I don't know, there must be something weird between your internet connection and mine. I don't know, but I'm really grateful we got through, and I thank you very much for your time.
I'm assuming that's a thank you and an out. That's what I'm taking it as. Thank you for having me on. I have no idea what's going on with the audio visual component, but I really enjoyed being on. I really enjoyed meeting you, and thank you so much for having me on this podcast.
Thank you so much, and we'll definitely do
that.
Take care. Okay. All right, everybody, we're able to get through that. I don't know what is going on with his connection and my connection, but it's been the only interview I've had all week long that's been kind of problematic. But I think we got some really good Grant today as far as what's going on in the Phoenix arts community. And I've put the Artlink link below. It's artlinkphx.org. If you're interested in what's going on with Artlink and what's going to happen next, what's happening during, you can definitely go on. If you are an artist, I'm an art participant. I'm an art participant for 2 reasons. One, I want to take advantage of all the awesome membership benefits of being a member of Artlink, but also I want to support the arts here in Phoenix. And so I pay my membership every year for that reason first, and the second reason is to get the benefits of being a member as an artist. So I usually interview an artist that is exhibiting on the first Friday and on the first Tuesday of every month. So next month, hopefully we'll be through COVID distancing. Let's cross our fingers, and there'll be a first Friday actively, fully in motion. If not, we'll be giving you some more information about how you can link into the artists here in the Phoenix area and beyond. So thanks everybody for taking some time out today and listening to my conversation with Grant. Sorry we had a bit of an audio issue at the end, but I think that Grant gave us a lot of really great things to think about. All right, everybody, have a really awesome Friday. Happy Easter, everybody. And we'll see you next Tuesday on Relentless Talk Radio at 2:30. All right, take care, everybody.